Hi, everyone. Welcome once again to my green card story. On this channel, we talk about EB2-NIW, green card, and anything that pertains to green card. Please follow us on this YouTube channel by subscribing to, um, to our channel. Also, drop a comment concerning this video. You can also visit us on our website, www.mygreencardstory.com. If you need help, you need someone to help you to draft your petition cover letter for EB2-NIW or to help you to review the one that you have written, we can help you to do that. Just go to our website and schedule a consultation with us. So as you know, I'm not a lawyer by any means, and I do not render immigration advice. I only help people to draft their petition cover letter and to review what they have written. So on this channel, I'm going to interview someone, and the person will be talking about day one CPT. In this time and in this present year, a lot of people, their petition has been approved. Their EB2-NIW petition has been approved by USCIS. But because their parole date is not current, they cannot adjust their status. And they are running out of OPT because some people, the OPT only lasts for 1 year, while others, they are already on OPT extension and they are trying to figure out what next to do. So this interview will be addressing day one CPT and how you can use day one CPT as a work authorization document while you wait to get your green card. So for today's interview, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Ladi. Mr. Ladi, please can you tell us more about yourself?
Good day, everybody. My name is Ladi Bobola. I just said I work as a cybersecurity engineer with a financial institution, and thank you for having me. And I hope I'm able to answer all your questions and talk a little bit about day one CPT as we know it, and how we can leverage it and how best to approach it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So yes. Let's go straight to the nitty-gritty of this interview. So can you tell us what is CPT and what is day one CPT?
Okay, CPT is just one of the many programs that the U.S. immigration have put in place to allow international students to be able to work in a field that is related to their course of study. So CPT simply means Curricular Practical Training. It's mostly offered, or it's mostly issued. The regular CPT is mostly issued by your university or your school. So for example, if you're going for an internship or while you're a student, you're issued a CPT as a form of temporary authorization to go take a job with the requirement that that job will give you additional experience in your course of study. So a primary requirement is that whatever job you're taking on is related to what you study. Day one CPT is kind of a colloquial way of describing academic programs that require those work experience to be accepted into those programs. So that's kind of why they call them day one CPT, because there are programs that for you to get into them, you have to have a continuous work experience. And oftentimes they require that you had previous experience and is a kind of a continuous, a continuation of your education. So like continuing education program. So a typical example, or what you will see frequently, are programs where they call executive MBA, for example. So those kind of programs, because they are specifically designed for working professionals, so they expect that you should be working in a field that is related to the specialization in the MBA that you're studying. And so because that is a requirement for the program, the school issues you a work authorization called CPT, because it's still tied to the college and it's still tied to the program. But because you are allowed to start working from the very first day of that program, they call it Day 1 CPT. So Day 1 CPT is just like any other CPT. It's just that, unlike regular CPT, where oftentimes, depending on the university, they require that you've gone through 1 year of study and you're already taking like the core courses, then they can allow you to go take an internship. But in this program, they expect that you're already having industry experience and you're just trying to further your knowledge. And so they require that you have a job to be able to participate in the program. As a matter of fact, if you don't have a job, you might have difficulty being accepted into the program. So because of that, they issue the CPT effective from the first day of that program.
Great. Thank you so much for telling us the difference between CPT and Day 1 CPT. So let's say there's someone that is on OPT right now and he or she has 4 months left okay, before our OPT expire. How can that person obtain a Day 1 CPT? Can you give us like the step-by-step approach? What, like, we need information about this, the university that offers Day 1 CPT, the type of programs that offers Day 1 CPT. Also, you know, for most programs, there's always like an application period where you turn in your application. So you want information on things like that.
Okay, yeah. First of all, I would recommend that you wait till you have 4 months to go to start planning. We know that especially as an immigrant, the clock is always ticking. So you always want to be a step ahead of time. But let's assume that you're crunch on time. For whatever reason, you were hoping that the priority date will become correct, and it got pushed back, or you feel that you might the priority date might not become current in time for when you'll be getting approved. The truth is, the application process for the 1 CPT programs are often very swift, especially if you already have all the necessary documents. So the application program or the kind of document is pretty much standard compared to a lot of other graduate programs. So you have your statement of purpose, you have your account statement. Now that might vary from school to school, but you must show proof that you're able to pay for the program. You must have your transcripts. Because it's an executive program, they either require that you have a master's program. Generally across the board. Some schools might have a more nuanced requirement, but generally what I've seen is they require that you either have a master's degree with a 3 to 5 year experience, or a bachelor degree with between 5 to 7 years experience. The reality is all your experience counts. So for example, in my own case, I'd had previous experience in my own country before coming to the US, and I had only 1 year of OPT. So I was able to show proof that I've had previous years of experience from my home country by getting like referral letter from my previous employer, or some sort of way to show it might be your pay stub from the previous job in your home country, or anything to prove that you've worked previously. And then your almost 1 year of OPT, or if you have STEM OPT already, that's almost 3 years. And hopefully you did some internship or you did some work before you moved to the country. So all those experiences count. Those are like and obviously your transcripts and all the general documents. So once you have all those documents in place, the process itself is usually very fast. because most of the schools also understand the motivation for going for those types of programs. So they're usually very fast with the process, as long as you have all your documents and you have everything required. And oftentimes they post all the requirements on their website. Almost any of the schools that offer the program, you can go to their website, look at the requirements, have everything ready. And once you apply, usually it shouldn't take too long. I think mine only took a couple of weeks. But like I said, the onus is on you. As long as you have all the documents ready, it's usually a very swift process.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, thanks so much. So you said that you made reference to when you were applying for the CPT, the document that I turned in. So can you give us more detailed about your own day one CPT? So what is the name of the university you enrolled into, and what program were you pursuing for your day one CPT?
Okay, for me personally, I think it was really apt for me to go for the program because it helped me kind of kill two birds with one stone. I went to my primary bachelor's degree was not titled bachelor's, because if you are familiar with the West African degree program, I went to what we call a polytechnic, which is technically a 5-year program but split into 2 different certifications. And so sometimes schools don't recognize that. So what I basically did when I came to the US was to get an associate degree, even though I already had a bachelor's degree. But because I didn't have it evaluated, I had to go through the evaluation process. But because I was already in the country, I had to be enrolled. So I got a computer science degree, an associate degree in computer science while I was evaluating my transcript. Then I completed that, and that gave me the opportunity to apply for OPT. So instead of transferring directly to either a master's program or a bachelor's program, if I wanted, I decided to complete the program because then I can take advantage of the OPT per level. So if I wanted, I could do the associate degree, get my 1 year of OPT. At associate level, you don't get OPT stamp. You only get the 1 year. But I could technically get the 1 year OPT, then go back for bachelor's degree. And there are a lot of advantages. We can talk a little bit more or in another session on the advantages of doing that approach, because basically I almost got like full ride scholarship to complete the rest of my program if I decided to go ahead to a bachelor's degree. But that's for a different video. But I could. But since I had 1 year of OPT, I started working with my OPT, and then I tried to apply for H-1B. It didn't work out. First of all, because I didn't have a graduate degree, and we all know that graduate master's holders and have a higher advantage of getting picked in the H-1B lottery. And since I didn't have a master's degree, my best option was to convince my employer to sponsor my green card directly through EB3. And since I had worked, at that time I've had about 5 years plus of work experience in the IT industry. And the requirement for EB3 is a bachelor's degree. At that time, my evaluation was completed and it came back as equivalent to bachelor's. So I just used my degree from Nigeria, which is now evaluated to US bachelor's. With my 5 years of experience, I applied for EB3. Now that's the tricky part, because I've only got 1 year of OPT, and at the time EB3, you didn't qualify for premium processing for your I-140. And we know that if you're going through employment-based green card application, you have to do the perm certification. Sometimes that takes between 8 to 1 year. And then if you're not doing I-140, premium application. That's another like 8 months, before you go to the actual 485 application. And so what I did was to apply to a university. And like I said, there are multiple universities. This is just the one I'm going. This is just the one that I went to. It's called Ottawa University. They work with a partner firm that recruits executive MBA applicants. The name of the company is called HMS. I'm actually talking to their salesperson or the contact person that interacts with students. I'm trying to see if we can either get them on this show or if I can get additional information on how to apply faster. Since I've worked with them, I've referred a couple of students to them. I kind of have a relationship with them. But I was able to do the executive MBA in information technology for 2 years.
Okay.
Basically, the structure of the program is that it's a 2-year program. The class style is hybrid, meaning you take some of the classes in person and the rest online.
Okay, so can you shed more light on how the classes for the one CPT work? So for example, if I'm enrolled in a program that is a day-one CPT program, do I need to be on campus every day, or how does it work?
You don't need to be on campus every day. Actually, as international students, you're allowed to take hybrid classes. You're not allowed to take full online classes, but you're allowed to take hybrid classes. And so the requirement is that you only have to come in to campus once every 8 weeks. That's about once every 2 months. And it's usually a weekend. So for that once that you have to go to campus, you're probably flying in on a Friday. You're taking classes on Friday afternoon, Saturday morning till evening, and then Sunday morning till afternoon, and then everybody flies back or drive back to wherever their base is, and then they take the rest of the classes online till the next 2 months when they have to come back in person. But there are very strict requirements that you have to comply with when engaging in the executive MBA program. One of them is that you have to be on campus when you're required to be on campus. Like I said, international students are not allowed to take classes fully online. So if you don't show up in that one weekend, it means that you cannot meet the physical presence requirements for the class, because every 2 months you're completing one class. So if you skip that weekend, it means you cannot meet the physical presence for that class, and that makes you go in violation of what your F1 status says. So you have to make sure that you comply by all the rules, so that you don't put yourself in a difficult situation where it begins to jeopardize your green card application. So as long as you comply with all the requirements, like I said, the physical presence, we were required to write weekly reports on how the program relates to our job. So for example, I was doing EMBA in information technology, and I work in the technology space as a cybersecurity engineer. So it's easy for me to write something about what I'm doing. It's also a great program for those that are trying to pivot. So for example, say your master's degree was in business administration or maybe supply chain or something, and you're trying to pivot into cybersecurity, for example, you can take an EMBA program with specialization in cybersecurity. Because the truth is, today, every application or every program is interrelated. And so when you're writing your report, you could literally talk about like the cybersecurity aspect of your supply chain experience and how it applies to your job as a supply chain person in this example. Okay. And the advantage you have with that is that over time, you can even fully pivot into cybersecurity because now you have a degree in cybersecurity and you can leverage that degree.
Okay, wow, that's great. That's great. Can you tell us other pros and cons of day one CPT?
Okay, let me start with the con. Bad news first. Yeah, one of the con is that you cannot. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's very difficult for you to apply for this program if you're outside of the country. So the program is mostly designed for people that are already in the country that has an active F1 visa status are not, they're already established. The second con is that it's not impossible, but I wouldn't recommend you travel out of the country during the program. Except it's super important, and if you have to, please talk to your course advisors and wherever your contact person is in your institution before you leave the country. Because as we know, if you're an F1 and you leave and your initial visa is expired, you might have to apply for reinstatement. The problem is sometimes visa officers are not too eager to approve F1 application from embassies outside of the country if you're doing a day one CPT. So that's kind of a con. It's not that it's illegal, it's just that they sometimes interpret it as, yes, you're coming to do this program because you want to work, and so we're not going to issue an F1 visa. So it's a con that you probably would want to travel out of the country at that time. Those are mostly the con. The other con I see is it can be expensive, it can be pricey. Most of the programs that I've seen are in the 5,000 to 7,000 a semester range, and there's no funding, there's no payment plan. I mean, some schools might have payment plan, but they mostly don't offer payment plans. So you have to come out of pocket for your tuition, and sometimes it can be pricey. That's why it's important that you kind of have a good job so that you're able to afford to pay the tuition.
To fund it. So are those the only two cons?
The other con is that it requires a lot of traveling. Like I said, so at the time I was working in Boston, I started the EMBA program in the Kansas campus. So like every 2 months, I was always flying out to Kansas. So if you factor in addition to the tuition, you have to take permission from work, because in some cases, depending on your location, some might have to fly out from Thursday because they have to be in class by, I think, 6 p.m. on Friday. And so for the Kansas campus, I think the closest airport was in Kansas and the Missouri side. So I had to still drive about another 1 hour. So if you think of like the fact that you have to take permission from work, the fact that you have to travel every 2 months, so like flight, hotel, car rental. I mean, if you're fortunate to be in a state where the school is, it's a whole lot more easier. But also another con is that you have to keep evidence of all these activities just in case you get an RFE. So you have to, if you're flying in, like I mentioned, the physical presence requirement, sometimes you want to file your flight ticket, you want to file your Airbnb or hotel booking, you want to keep receipts of your car rental. If possible, take pictures while you're in campus so that you can show proof that yes, on the days that you are required to be on campus, you're there. Sometimes another con is that it's a lot of work. You're literally doing a full-time program and at the same time doing a full-time job. So it can be intensive, and you don't want to be perceived as taking the program as unserious, because then they will perceive that you're just trying to take advantage just to keep your visa status.
Wow.
But the reality is that if you're paying a lot for a program like that, you can as well just make the best of it.
Okay.
Right. So
yeah.
those are some of the cons that I can think of.
The pro, how about the pro?
There are a lot of pros with the one CPT. The first is I think it's a really good way to kind of advance your career, because if you're already in a field and they offer an executive MBA in that field, for example, if you're in a technical field and you're someday looking to become a manager, you don't have to leave your job to go do an MBA. The EMBA gives you the requirement of having an MBA degree. So usually that kind of qualifies you to become a manager if you are a professional in the technical field. Also, if you're looking to pivot out of an area into a new area, like earlier, I gave an example of pivoting from like supply chain to like data analytics, or if you're a finance person, you might want to pivot into like data analytics or business analytics. Some programs have, some EMBA have specialization in that. If you're looking to pivot into cybersecurity, those are good ways. And I have actually taken some of the cybersecurity classes as a cybersecurity engineer, and I can tell you, the school has a really good cybersecurity program, and I've learned a lot from the program, even as an experienced cybersecurity engineer. So it's not completely a waste of time. So the fact that you can advance your degree is a good thing. It can help you pivot. You're getting more certification. You're building relationships, because most of the students that are coming are already working in some place. And so if you're looking to switch employment, if you're looking to interact with people, and many of those students are also in high-paying jobs, because that's the only way they can afford, to pay for the program. So if you're looking to change jobs, building relationship with people that are already in the industry. Another pro is that most of the professors they use for these programs are actually adjunct professors. You might think that's a con, because you would have hoped that they should have hired like a full-time professor. But the reason I said is a pro is because most of these adjunct professors are professionals in their field. So like almost all the courses I've taken are taught by people that are professionals in those spaces. So if you're talking about organizational leadership, you're looking at a professional in the industry that has worked in that space and is coming to lecture you. If you're looking at network security, I actually had someone that was in the military for in this cybersecurity command center of the US Army, and then when he got out of the Army, he was actually doing he started his company penetration testing. He was the one lecturing me. So I'd rather have an industry professional lecture me in a space I'm trying to pivot into, compared to some professional, because then it's industry specific. Are generally smaller, so it gives you the opportunity to ask as much questions as you like, because most of the physical classes is where you actually have the opportunity to ask questions. The online part of the class is where you just do the academic things, all the homework, the reports, the papers, and all of that. So it's a typically interactive program, and you get to learn a lot. But the con is sometimes it can be information overload, because you are learning a lot in a very short period of time. And so you want to be sure that you're interested in that, in the specialization you're taking.
Okay. So the last question that I have for you is this. Yep. There's someone out there that their OPT is about to expire. How can they get on the one CPT to remain in status? Okay. Pending time, they're able to turn in their adjustment of status document and their I-765 and get like an EAD card based on the fact that they have an approved I-140.
Do is go to the school's website, see when the program is starting, to see if the start date of the program still aligns with when your OPT expires, because in some cases, for example, if your OPT expires 10th of May and the program starts 31st of May, it means that you have a gap. And yes, after the expiration of your OPT, you have a few days to make a decision on the next steps, but then you cannot work within that duration. So you have to put that in mind, bear that in mind, and you have to be able to show that gap that you actually didn't work, just in case you have an RFE, because you don't want to work without authorization, because your CPT starts on the first day of the program, not when you get accepted. That is very important. A simple way to prove that you didn't work while your OPT expired before your CPT kicks in is maybe you can print your whole year pay stub just to show the gap, or maybe that within that period you send an email to your employer to say, I might be taking my vacation, in that period. If you're an hourly paid, if you're not salaried, or just have some sort of paper trail to show that there's a gap. That's the first thing. Once the time frame aligns, the next thing is just to submit the paperwork and try to make sure that you get accepted. You put in all. The important thing is this: the CPT authorization that you're not getting an EAD card. What you're getting is an I-20 that shows that you are enrolled into the program. So the school will issue an I-20, and then on the I-20 they will annotate that you are authorized to work. And usually they will issue the CPT on a yearly basis. So if you're in a 2-year program, they won't just issue a 2-year CPT. So they issue the first year, and then as you round off your first year, you notify the school, and then they'll issue another I-20 with the second annotation that will include the second year. And the interesting thing is, there are multiple programs. So for example, in Ottawa University, you have your executive MBA, you have your executive doctorate. So the executive doctorate is a 3-year program. So you can literally complete your EMBA and apply for a DBA and get another 3 years of CPT. So combine that, almost 5 years. If you're not able to sort out your green card issues in 5 years, maybe you should consider another option.
I'm sure our viewers will be able to sort out their green card issues within 2 years. So I think they'll be fine. So Mr. Ladi, thank you so much. You have given us like a detailed explanation on how to go about enrolling for the Day 1 CPT kind of programs that is available, and schools, universities that offers Day 1 CPT. Thank you so much. During this interview, you mentioned EB3. I'm going to bring you back to talk about EB3 because nowadays I know that people are exploring all the options from EB1A to EB2-NIW, and I think some people are also looking into EB3. So I'm going to
there are a lot of myths in those areas that will bust.
Yeah, so I'm going to bring it back to talk about that because I think it's an area that people have not really explored. So I'll bring it back.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, thank you so much for today's interview.
And very quickly, if you're interested in applying to Ottawa University, they have a campus in Kansas City. They have a campus in Milwaukee, I think. And then they have a campus in Arizona, in the Phoenix metro area. I do have a relationship with the student relations person with Ottawa University. I'm currently talking to her. I'll see if I can get us a link. Please note that if you apply to the program through the link, I'll probably send to you, and you can put in the show notes or the section on the comment section. What's it called? Please note that I might be compensated by the university, but that's not in any way impacting whatever you pay in tuition or whatever. But I just wanted you to know that if you are applying to school through my referral, I will be getting paid. Okay. Just in the spirit of transparency.
yeah, that's good. And I'm going to put the link in the description section of this video. So if you're interested, can you click on the link? So thank you so much, everyone. Please check out our website and also subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.